We went through the 2020s, 2010, 2000s, 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, 1960s, 1950s, 1940s, 1930s, and now the 1920, our last era here, folks, for the GOAT series of season 3 of the GOAT series here, folks. So, welcome to Jeremy Hadler's YouTube channel. This will be a fun one, folks, and I'm your host, Jeremy Hadler. So, first off, I'd like to thank all the guests that came on here for this season. Appreciate it. I'd like to give kudos to every single one of them that came on, share their opinion and whatnot. I'd like to do that. And for this to end it out here, folks, has been a fun ride. Let me know if you want season 4 in the chat of GOAT series, if you want that or not. Please let me know. I appreciate it. And here we go, folks. As we're kicking off here, like I mentioned with the last couple episodes, this one, to be more realistic about it. Again, this is only offense here because, again, there was no defense or special teams here. So I really couldn't do much on that, folks. I really couldn't pick it at all. I really couldn't. So we're going to go through quarterback, halfback, fullback, which, again, that's how it was played back then. Then we're going to go wide receiver, and then my O-line to finish out with because O-line, I know a lot of people like it, so I love putting it out with O-line here. And before we start, folks, make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so already. Would appreciate it. And yes, to give you the criteria, basically, once again, I mentioned it before, is the impact they made in this era. The most easy way I've ever done in my GOAT series of the criteria. What impact they made for this decade, the 1920s. That's how I'm going to be doing it, folks. That's how I'm going to be doing it. So I'm going to change it a little bit here, folks, where usually I go quarterback and everything. I'm going to go with the offense line here. I want to start that off just to start off a bang here. So O-line, let's get it going here. Blind side, we're going to start with first. My blind side that I have for my GOAT series and my 1920s all-decade team is Ed Healy. Very boring name. Yes, I know. But he's a 5 first-team All-Pro, so that's remarkable to do. And what really stood out to me about him was he had that speed, he had the size, and he was a ferocious blocker to really set the edge and for sweeps. That was what the game was back in the day, not really the passing. You don't see that in these last couple eras here, folks, of how football really started. It was the run game. The run game really set it apart. And so Ed Healy, he would chase down defenders when had to lead the block, had to be the lean blocker. He'd go run down and chase after those defenses. He would chase after them and knock them down, folks. And George Halas the Great called him one of the most versatile tackles of all time because of his pursuit and how he tackled, the way he tackled. And he was ferocious out there, really ferocious. So I got to give appreciation to him. Interesting fact about him, folks, is he never played on a losing team. And that was with the Bears, folks. So I hate to say it, but yeah, they were on a losing team when he played. But when you look at the history of the Bears, they've been a pretty bad franchise. So hey, who knows what changed with Caleb Williams? But hey, that's the Bears, folks. That's the Bears. But Ed Healy, one of the greats. Got to put him as my blindside left tackle here. All right, and to get to left guard here now, this could be an interesting name I like is Walt Keesling here. His only achievement, folks, he was one first-team All-Pro. But to give you about his game, what I liked about was he played ferociously with his leverage and power. So he combined all of that to lead the sweeps and lead the blocks and disrupt the defense. So usually when I think of defender trying to disrupt the pocket and it goes collapsing and everything, he would destroy the defense. I basically, as soon as the defense try to make their hand put in and try to stop the O-line, they back away from this guy because Walt would come right after them and just get him. Now, he could play both guard spots if I need him to. So if he wants to go right guard, left guard, fine by me. He was great at both spots. So he adapted pretty well, especially in the Iron Man lineup here, which again, for folks who don't know what the Iron Man lineup is they play with durability and play ferociously of dealing with those injuries, folks. So he had to play through it, and he did, folks. So this has to get appreciation to me here. So if I need to make a switch real quick on my 1920s O line here and need to switch for the left guard, right guard, Walt's going to give me that. Walt will give me that, folks. So got to give it to him here. And to give to my center here, folks, that is George Trafton. George Trafton, a one-time NFL champion, 2 first-team All-Pros, one-time second-team All-Pro, nicknamed Old 63. That's because he wore the jersey number 63 back in the day. And because of this, he dominated that position so well that the linebackers had to drop back so much, especially when the pass came, because every time the run game came to him, he shut him down right away, and he didn't have to do that much. He literally just go, they're done. They're out of the way. And he was one of the toughest, meanest dudes in the NFL. And George had a reputation of that. George did that and got the job done. So if I need to have a gritty guy to give me and smack talk, and I really needed to set out the defense to be scared, I'm putting George as my center here. I'm putting George as my center here to take him out. So he was very ferocious at the game and did it pretty well, folks. So George is my center here, folks. And then to get to my right guard here, folks, that is Mike Mikowski. Mike Mikowski, a one-time NFL champion and 3 first-team All-Pros. He was also an Iron Mike, was his nickname back in the day, because of his brutal blocking and his Iron Man endurance. So again, endurance or durability, that's what it comes when you're playing back in the day, the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, etc. Really early age of NFL. That's how you had to play back in the day. And especially for the O-line, because there's so many guys in today's game that don't play all their games. These guys, they play it out and would go out. They would go out even if they had twisted ankle, broken ankle, you name it, any type of injury, they still go out and play. It's ridiculous of how those guys still were able to play through that. And the interesting fact with Mike is he converted from being a fullback to being an explosive speed at the guard spot. So that's pretty interesting how he was utilized in the NFL. Now, he played for Curly Lambeau back in the day. So Lambeau had a pretty interesting way of moving guys around, and especially the jet sweeps. I mean, of course, that's with Vince Lombardi too, but he was pretty good at that, and he charged after those defenders. So he'd go right at it and do fantastic. He would stonewall the defense. He wouldn't allow him get through at all on the pass game and the run game whatsoever. So he would create lanes. He creates so much open for the run game for the Packers. And to give you an interesting fact about with Mike Mikowski is he only missed 9 games out of 104 games he played in the NFL. Pretty remarkable for an old lineman to do that. That's pretty remarkable. And through his agility and his power that made him one of the best guards in that era and the toughest ones, he was the first guard to be inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame. Pretty astonishing accomplishment. Like, not many old linemen get into the Hall of Fame. Like, later on, it takes them a couple years. But being the first one, that's pretty astonishing when I mentioned before with my old line so far. Pretty great players. So that's astonishing there. Got to give kudos to him. So he's my right guard here, Mike Mikowski here. Right tackle here. Right tackle, I like this name a lot, and that's Wilbur Pete Henry. Yeah, I love that name. 2-time NFL champion, 4 first-team All-Pros. He was more of his powerhouse guy. So he had a lot of power, didn't rely on his speed. He used that powerhouse and dominating fashion, folks, by being so bulk. He was quick too, a little bit, but he really used that power. He used that power to basically drill the defenders way back, all the way back into the crowd section, folks. And he would also open holes for the running backs to scoot in and go in, out, there you go. He opened lanes for the running backs, folks. And he would drop back into space too for the pass game. And doing that, he still neutralized them. He pushed them all the way out to the out of bounds area, folks. Did a fantastic job in that. And he helped his NFL team win championships in 1922 and 1923 back to back. And he really consistently was pretty good at controlling the line of scrimmage. Never let back, always kept not letting anybody go through. And he's often cited as the prototype for tackle. So if I'm looking at dictionary of like dummies of how to play football for an O lineman at right tackle, Wilbur is right there for me to get a look. Oh, hey, that's how you play. And Wilbur is that reason for that, folks. So got to give appreciation to him here. He is my right tackle. And then to get the quarterback here, folks, I got is John Patty Driscoll. John Patty Driscoll, one-time NFL champion, 6 first-team All-Pros. Pretty remarkable to do that. 2 second-team All-Pros. Now, he was pretty athletic back in the day. He dodged guys left and right, like you're playing dodgeball, left, right, try to scoot by him. And when he scooped by and run outside, he would run down the field and get a lot of yards. He was a pretty good runner back in the day of being athletic. And when he didn't have to run and he had to throw down the field or throw in the pocket, still electric. So very athletic player out here, folks. And he not only did he play quarterback, he played special teams too. So if he had to play defense, pretty good at that as well. And when he was the kicker for them, to give you an interesting fact about that, he kicked a 55-yard field goal, which was the NFL record for longest field goal in NFL history that existed for many decades. Now that is completely broken today of the amount of great NFL kickers we have today. But back then, pretty astonishing for kickers to do that because that was also the worst time to be a kicker too. So got to give it to John Patty Driscoll. So if I need him to go out there and be my kicker, I'm putting him out there, folks. So got to give kudos to him as being a two-way player, but also a good quarterback and athletic QB as well, folks. Got to give it to him here. And then to get the halfback here, folks, I like this pick a lot is Earl Curly Lambeau. Yes, when you think of Lambeau, you think of Lambeau Field. When you think of Lambeau Field, you think of the Green Bay Packers. And he was the guy who started it for the Packers. He was a player, the owner, and coach basically all at the same time, guys. So that's pretty remarkable to do that. And that was also one of the first beginning teams in NFL history. So to give you his achievements real quick, he was a one-time NFL champion as a player, folks. We're just considering that in this era, and a three-time second team All Pro he made as well. Now, what really sets me about Lambo was he ran with deceptive speed and elusiveness, very good speed. And when he had to play multiple positions like a kicker and a punter, did fantastic at that. And he really ran the ball a lot. He ran the ball a lot, and that offense succeeded a lot. And to give it to you, folks, he was the first Packer to get the first TD pass. So he played quarterback a little bit, folks, and get the first field goal for the Packers. So this guy can play everything. But he was very explosive in his own offense of how he set the playbook of his own for the team. He really shined in that, and that's what really stands out about him. And to give you another interesting fact about him is he went on to coach the Packers from 1921 to 1949, which I mentioned again in this era. He was basically the player coach and the owner as well. So because of that, he also got to coach a longer too, up until 1949. And in that process, folks, the Packers won 6 titles. That does not happen really in this football day. You think of the New England Patriots, you think of the Kansas City Chiefs. It really doesn't happen for a dynasty team to break out. Lambeau was one of the first guys to basically even come up with what a dynasty is. Lambeau did a pretty good job of coaching, guys. Pretty good job. So, got to give him here as my halfback, but I wouldn't mind him as a kicker. If I need a backup kicker, as I mentioned before with Priskett, I'm really doing it. I'm going to do it with him. So, hey, put in Lambeau here as my halfback here, folks. All right, and then I get to fullback here, folks. I got is Ernie Nevers. Ernie Nevers, a 3 first team All Pro. That's all I got out of him from looking at his achievements here. But what really I remember about him is when I did my research is the date November 28th, 1929, folks. Why do you want to know about that date, Jeremy? Well, he scored all 40 Cardinal points. 40 points, guys. Does that even happen? No, it never happens. The only way you come close to that is you're playing high school football in that process. And in that of scoring all 40 Cardinal points at that time, in that day, folks, was 6 rushing TDs, 4 extra points. Very remarkable to do that, folks. And it's the single game record that's never been broken. It's been unbroken for up until that time now, folks. It's never been broken and will never get broken ever, folks. It just will never get broken at all. So that's it about him for that interesting fact. But when you're talking about his game real quick, he powered through those defenses, used both of his strength and speed. So he's more of a bulldozer guy and being more of you need that like 3rd and 1, you need the 4th one, like I mentioned, with bigger guys, and you need to get that short gain and get that red zone TD. He's that guy to get that right there. He's my fullback here, folks. Got to give it to him here. And then to move on to my last position here, folks, for the GOAT series of season 3, wide receiver here, folks. And this name I like a little bit. Guy Chamberlain. Not Will Chamberlain, Guy Chamberlain, folks, who's a 5 NFL champion. Pretty remarkable to do that, folks. And a 4 first team All Pros. Pretty remarkable to do that. Now, he was a two-way guy that played different positions because, it was, again, the platoon era, you played different positions, and also the Iron Man era where you had to play heavily in that. Now, he would be known for his long gains. So when the rushing play came up, 20-yard run, 30-yard run, amazing runs. He was that guy. He did that ferociously and did that so many times. So he did that and also was pretty good at breaking open in the open field tackles, really dominate those defenses. And from George House, the great, called him the best two-way player he's seen. And that's highlighting his triple threat in receiving because he also played receiving a little bit if you had to use it as a running back. And they did that back in the day a lot, blocking, and he played defense a little bit too. So really, a guy you need to play as like your average Joe all around. Guy Chamberlain is your guy. He's your guy. So he is my wide receiver, folks. But that will wrap it up here. Let me know what you think in the comments, folks, of who are your GOATs at each positions in the 1920s here, folks. Let me know. I appreciate it. And as always, thank you for tuning in to season 3 of the GOAT series, folks. We appreciate it once again here. Let me know if you want season 4, ladies and gentlemen. If you want that, put in the comments here. I probably will just do it if you even if you don't respond. I probably will, but that'll do your folks. And as always, go back, go. See you next time, everybody. Have a good day.